Remember to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel and share it with a friend so we can boost the algorithm and reach more people. And yeah, help me get to 1,000 subscribers because then you'll get the free handstand push-up program. Anyways, this training was pure bodybuilding, and I mean pure bodybuilding, as I've talked about in the last few videos over the last 1 or 2 weeks. I have slowed down the tempo and the weight even in some exercises, as well as increased the range of motion to get more out of less weight. And I've talked about getting more out of less weight heaps of times on here before, but my philosophy around what exactly it means have changed a couple of times within the last 1 or 2 years. And if I had to say what it means to me to train in a way where you get more out of less weight now, I would say that it's about mechanical disadvantaged variations, it's about range of motion, and it's about the tempo. So if you want to get more out of less weight, first of all, if you decrease the tempo, so we are talking the eccentric, because the concentric you always want to move as explosively as possible to gain the most strength, and it doesn't really have that much of a hypertrophy benefit. But with the eccentric, you want to slow that down, make it take around 3 seconds. That is probably going to decrease the weight that you're using by 10% for many of you. Then by increasing the range of motion, that might be a 10% further drop. So now you're already using 20% less without even having changed the exercise that you're doing. So if I wanted to also change the exercise, I might go from a Romanian deadlift to a good morning. If I'm even just using the same range of motion that I see most people do, where I'm just working in what people call the active range of motion, where they're able to keep their lower back totally straight, which by the way is possible for a lot larger range of motion than you see people perform Romanian deadlifts in. If I just keep both exercises in that range of motion, I'll probably already have to drop the weight that I'm using in my good mornings to like 70%, 65% of what I can do in the Romanian deadlifts, and even less if you're not used to the good mornings and have the strength in your erectors. If you then also begin to decrease the tempo and increase the range of motion, then we're talking about using like 50%, 45% of the weight you were using in your Romanian deadlift before. And the main benefit that is so good about using these, like implementing these three things, is just that you're using so much less weight, therefore the stimulus to fatigue ratio gets a lot better because you're able to still tire out your muscles. You can still go to failure within like 5 to 10 reps with less than half the weight, but because you're using so much less weight, you'll find it that for your ligaments and for your connective tissue, all of that, and for your central nervous system, it is going to be a lot easier to perform at a high level, close to failure every week or even multiple times a week, so you have the ability to train closer to failure, or train with higher volume, or train with a higher frequency. What you will find when you do this. So I think a lot of bodybuilders especially would benefit tremendously from this, because they always say that they're training through a full range of motion. And if you ask them like what they're training, let's say like flies for, they will say that they're training them to get big. But then they'll also say that they're focusing on, or you can see that from the training, that they're focusing on quantitative measures rather than qualitative measures, which doesn't make sense at all. And if you try to tell that to them, they will be like, no, I don't do that. But it's very clear because they don't train with as much range of motion that I do here. Even though it is proven by the science that the stretch mediated hypertrophy is a real thing, and slower eccentrics are safer for the connective tissue, all of that, and also give the most muscle damage, which might give a little bit of hypertrophic stimulus. And it also means that it's just like, you can use less weight and train harder in that way. It's easier to recover from. So yeah, I don't get why a lot of people are basically lying about what they're training for. I think a lot of people need to look inwards in terms of what they're saying. I mean, you can see that everything I'm doing here is just like lower cell, full range of motion. And even though this stack I'm using for tricep pushdowns here is extremely light, it says 50 on there, but it's definitely not 50 kg. It might be 35 kg, 30 kg, but I'm doing and this is my second set, by the way, a 3-minute constant tension set where I'm just using no momentum. Every eccentric takes around 4 seconds, and yeah, I do 34 reps, some shit like that. Just totally obliterate my tricep. I think that is another thing. People are way too just focused on certain rep ranges, always 8 to 12, 10 to 15, and they don't understand that if you want to get big and build muscle, stuff like that, sometimes you just need to try out crazy shit. I follow some people who are extremely big despite doing that set of 50 on squats, 20 plus reps on pull-ups, on rows, stuff like that. Crazy circuits where they're doing pull-ups and squats and 100 cleans in as fast as possible, stuff like that. So I think it just goes to show that if you're doing a lot of crazy shit, as long as you're eating in a caloric surplus and you're able to recover, you're basically gonna grow. And if you're just doing the same shit over and over again, the same 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps, first of all, I think it just gets extremely boring, but I think that you're also just missing out of a huge amount of gain, especially if you're also not rotating exercises when they start to get hard. I think that is a big point that a lot of people are missing, trying to squeeze out every little bit of progress in the exercise rather than changing the exercise, getting the novelty increase in weight every week for some time, and then when they stop progressing for 2 weeks, change exercise again, both to get the novelty and keep momentum going, and also to avoid injury and burnout. Anyways, that is all for day 58, and I hope to see you all for the next one. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, and all of that good shit. Let's get to 1,000 followers. Bye.